At Kyzen, we know it's the science that makes the difference. The right solutions happen when you care enough to ask the right questions. And we understand that your performance is directly related to ours. Science knows why it works, care knows why it's important.
Welcome to the Kyzen booth here at SMT AI. I'm delighted to be joined by my old friend Tom Forsyth. Good to see you, Tom.
Good to see you, Trevor.
Okay. So, the most recent new chemistry you brought out is the Aquanox A4727.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the development of that, why you felt the necessity to develop it, and what its key features are.
Sure thing. Well, of course, cleaning is a responsive technology. So, soldering people invent new solders and materials, pastes. The design, the component folks invent new things, and it's our job to respond to that and to be able to clean. So development never really stops at Kyzen, and I suspect everybody else in our industry, that we're constantly moving the ball to that, addressing those new and emerging challenges. Even if the cleaning challenge doesn't change, people are always looking for better economy, of course, but in our industry, things constantly change, and the bar continues to get higher. You know, today's larger devices, with ground lugs in the center that create, cleaning underneath devices is a lot about flow, right? We go and especially when you kind of have breakthrough and you can flow from one side to the other. Well, if you have a large ground lug in the middle, you're not going to break through that ground lug, right? That's going to challenge cleaning. It also challenges soldering, so it can make the soils underneath there more challenging. So there's this whole bevy of things that kind of come together. So
the geometries are changing with minituarization and things like that are throwing things. But then the other big thing I'm sure you come up against a lot is new flux chemistries, because the sort of companies are always coming out with new fluxes.
There's new ones constantly. I'm sure there's several new ones announced at the show here. There'll be more at Productronica in a couple of months. Yeah, we often get a look at those before they come out to make sure we're prepared for that. But that's also, again, it's changing the contaminants, changing the challenge. It's bringing added utility and value to the customers that adopt them, whether it's tack time or whatever. There's dozens and dozens of reasons that people sort out to pick a soldering material. But we have to name that tune so that development work just never stops, because if you fall behind, what happens is, well, gee, I need to clean a bit longer, or I need to raise the temperature a bit. And when you do that, you're opening a door to a compatibility issue. Right. If you cook an egg for 2 minutes, you get a nice soft-boiled egg or whatever. If you cook it for 22 minutes, you have a racquetball.
I mean, the big thing you've got, of course, is cleaning under low standoff components. Yeah. So if it's something that's, say, sub 2 mil standoff, then you would just increase the cleaning envelope?
Well, it's all a balance, right? So access to the material, the lower the standoff, the more challenging. That's where the pressures can get adjusted, the temperatures can get adjusted, or new materials that are designed to be more effective, enter the fray. And that's really was, not only was the ongoing, become better driver behind the A4727, but it was, this is where the technology's going. How are we better prepared to do a good job there at more routine and common process conditions? And that's really what A4727 delivers. It's designed to do that, to do better under the low standoffs than the older technologies, which generally do a good job. Yeah. But for people that are really at the leading edge moving forward, this is a product that will add utility that they'll enjoy. Right.
What's the minimum level before people start to run into trouble with standoffs?
Well, I guess from the other perspective, it starts out that zero doesn't work. Okay, so zero standoff, doesn't work at all, and once you get that 0 to 1 is very, very, very difficult. 0 to 2 is still very challenging. Mostly these days, 2 plus is very manageable. But it also depends on the size of the die and how level things are. You could have something that's at a 3 or 4 mil standoff, but it's a really big device, and it's not 3 or 4 mil everywhere. It's smaller, because the planarity is not always at an ideal level. So because devices are getting bigger, that's another one of the challenges. Gee, this should be just fine, except it's more challenging than it looks. And that's why our lab is there to, people will send in, whether they're test substrates or actual production parts, to run tests, to do that process diagnostics, to say, okay, here's kind of where you want to be from a time, temperature, and concentration perspective to get the job done. That turns out to be a real value adder for the users.
So do most customers actually do that? They actually send you in the boards and you test them before
we have a lot that come in, right? That's right. Sometimes people will come in and be part of the visit, which we strongly encourage, but also people are busy, getting away is more difficult. So they'll often send in parts, and we'll do the evaluations. Lots of photos before and after, and very clear and specific records of the process conditions that we ran. Because the goal is, of course, you have to be able to duplicate it at the customer site.
Right.
So you want to.
You want more than just the visual. I mean, the visual is important, of course, but you want to obviously check that after you've run the process that you've not left anything nasty on the board and the cleanliness there.
That comes back to what the customer's standards are. Sometimes we'll do that. We may have the equipment in house. Sometimes the customer will want to do that. Nowadays it's not uncommon to pull components in that early days, evaluation stuff to kind of look. So there's an array of techniques that are coming around for that.
Interesting. Well, great to see you coming out with new products, and great to catch up. Thanks for joining us, Tom.
Thank you, Trevor.